In this video, we're going to learn how to take a pattern from a 3D object, specifically a shoe. You can see I have the real one and then the ceramic one in front of me. I've captured all the details, such as the buckles, the toe of the shoe, and the grommets where the laces would go. Now I'm going to take a new shoe, and we're going to take a pattern from this, using masking tape. After removing all the shoelaces, you can now begin. You're going to want to take your tape and choose a section of the shoe that will be the starting point of your pattern making. Typically, I like to begin at the heel of the shoe. I find that to be the easiest and the part that needs to have the most action taken. You can see how it's rounded around that edge, as well as it has a dart that has been added in there. This is where you're really going to have to experiment after taking that pattern off of your piece by slowly cutting into your tape pattern. I'll show you that later in the video. Right now I'm using my fingernail to really burnish it into that edge and make sure that it adheres to the surface of the leather. Now you can see as I'm going around that curve in the material, I'm starting to develop wrinkles in my tape. Don't worry about that at this moment in time. Smooth those out and burnish them with your fingernails. When it comes to taking the tape pattern off, when it doesn't lie flat, we're going to have to cut into that surface to make it nice and smooth and even. While it's on the body of the object, you just want to make sure that you get everything adhered to that surface so you can take a proper pattern. At this point, once all of that tape has been connected in that section, go around the edge where that seam is and use a pen, pencil, or Sharpie to trace along that seam edge. You can also use your fingernail to really get into that section so that you can ensure you have that seam correctly drawn out. At this point, it's essential to add on excess to your pattern once you transfer it to that paper. Otherwise, you'll see a significant difference after firing in the shrinking of the ceramic from the regular boot to the full ceramic boot. You want to add on about a 10% difference on your paper or excess to the pattern so that you can assure for the shrinkage after firing. At this point, as you have finished outlining your pattern, grab some paper and a pair of scissors so that you can begin to take off that tape pattern and lay it down on the paper. You'll want to use the scissors to cut around that edge and the excess of that tape, as well as to add that dart into the tape so that it'll lie flat. You can see my tape has the shape of that heel in there, so it's not laying flat completely. We'll use that scissors to cut that dart that was originally in the leather form and add it to the tape form. At this point, if you haven't cut into your pattern, then you're going to start to notice all these folds in your tape are going to occur when it is placed on the paper. You'll have to go back around and make sure that you cut into that pattern so that you can really ensure that it sticks down properly. Leave excess material on your pattern so that you can ensure for the shrinkage of the ceramic after it has been fired. Since I just finished taking my first pattern from my shoe, I'm going to move on and speed through taking the rest of a pattern from the whole entire shoe. You'll see me complete the toe, the tongue, and the side quarter panels of my shoe. As you are going through and making several tape patterns, you'll want to make sure that you label each section. This section is going to be labeled with the left side toe. I'm going to be lifting this pattern off so that I can have it in separate sections. That way I can get the little wing area, go into the toe, and then go onto the other side where that zipper comes in. At this point, I want to make sure that I'm capturing all details, so getting that full toe as well as the tongue section of my boot taped off so that I get the full pattern. This is essential as I'm going in to make the ceramic piece. I want to have all those details as accurate as possible. As you're working with the tape, make sure that you're burnishing it into the surface of the shoe. If it begins to pull apart, then lay over a strip of tape to make sure that each section is covered. Begin by removing that tape at the very back where you laid down the first piece. This will help ensure that all of that tape sticks together. Now go back in and label it if you covered it up with a piece of tape. Set this aside so that you can save it for the rest of the pattern later on. At this point, I've pulled off the toe section of my shoe, and I'm going to grab that left side and add it back together. Make sure you secure it with another piece of tape. That way it'll hold that whole pattern. Now I'm going to go in and make the final section of that whole part. If you got to this section, then you get to see a little sneak peek of my cat. His name is Lord Biscuits, and he always likes to hang out in the studio with me. Usually he'll sit on the chair, so I'll have to leave it open, and he likes to grab at my back while I'm working if he's not sleeping. Now that I have this section done, I'm going to go in and attach it to my paper. Remember, as it is 3D, cut the areas that you need to make sure that it lies flat. Otherwise, you'll get wrinkles in your pattern, and it won't look perfectly symmetrical all the way around that toe. You can see in those areas right there where I'm moving it back into place, where it'll need to be cut, or else it's going to fold over and it's not going to look correct. As this video is coming to a close, thank you for watching all the way through. We made a paper pattern of our shoe, and we laid it out in different sections. I'll go back later and do all the details when I make it into the ceramic object.